Hi everybody. Welcome to my channel. Today we have review for the next game. Sit comfortably, take something to eat or drink, and we starting. Sable is a new adventure game from the developers at Chedwicks and published by Raw Fury. The game follows the titular Sable, a girl embarking on her gliding, a coming-of-age ritual that requires her to leave her nomadic tribe to wander the desert's everworld. Hoping to discover what role she wants to fill for the rest of her life, Sable waves her family and lifetime home goodbye with nothing but a slight suggestion of where to go and a pretty sick hoverbike to help her get around. Before Sable leaves her tribe, the player goes through a rather lengthy tutorial that sees them exploring the valley around the tribe to gather hoverbike parts, collect bugs, and power an ancient artifact that allows Sable to glide freely from any height. The tutorial effectively establishes the world of Sable and introduces players to the climbing and driving mechanics that they will become very familiar with over the rest of the game. However, it does feature some of the least interesting areas and interactions in the game, making it feel like it takes much longer than is necessary. This sensation, however, is relatively short-lived, as making one's way out into the world after the tutorial is quickly intoxicating. The structure of Sable is beautiful in its simplicity. Players are free to travel around the world and explore any part of it that they wish at any time. There is no main coastline to direct the player or interfere, as Sable's only goal is to choose a final mask by acquiring 3 tokens from others with a type of mask. This setup allows players to simply wander and travel to any landmarks or interesting vistas that they come across. Midden's desert regions are vast and largely empty, leaving you alone with the hum of your bike in the desert wind. Fittingly, your bike glides more than it revs, lighter even than Destiny's sparrows. There's a soft purring to the engine as you float over dunes, creaking as you bump against rocks. It's often awkward, but never a nuisance, a somewhat elegant companion that has a playfulness reminiscent of Halo's bouncing jeeps. As you travel, you'll find more parts to customize your bike with, new color schemes to paint it up. Your bike becomes as personal as your mask, an extension of your equally customizable outfit. But while you find the occasional jacket or engine part while out on your travels, most will require a solid bag of cold hard cuts, cash. Sable follows an eponymous hero and on the cusp of undergoing a traditional ritual called the gliding, in which adolescent tribe members leave their nomadic clans and set out on a journey of self-discovery. It's a charming and very slightly bittersweet coming-of-age story weaving in ideas of discovery, identity, and connectedness. It's certainly a rather laid-back, meditative experience, and whilst there's an endgame, there isn't really any central storyline or predetermined path to get there. Even with this approach, the game's writing and dialogue remain surprisingly fresh, with the inclusion of Sable's internal monologuing interceding during the dialogue. The game world really was the highlight of my experience. Made all the more potent with the inspired visuals and sound, more on that later. The mythology and the culture of the world are enchanting. It was a delight simply moving from place to place and experiencing the world and its characters and secrets. At its heart, Sable is an open-world exploration game with no combat. The world is vast with various distinct biomes, environments, and settlements. You can go in whatever direction you choose and engage with the world at your own pace. Become a paragon of the people, helping who you can, or entirely ignore them and pursue your own ambitions. Of course, this ties in wonderfully thematically. For me, I decided I was going to map the entire game world, helping with few I could along the way. Sable is well equipped when it comes to traversing this rough terrain, preventing exploration from becoming a chore. Most of the time, you'll be relying on your trusty and customizable hoverbike to get you around. There are also some basic navigation tools at your disposal. Luckily for you, for your more vertical endeavors, Sable is quite the climber and also has the ability to glide through the air. Even after only a few minutes, it's easy to see that the game takes a lot from Breath of the Wild in terms of its exploration and world. The stamina system and UI, including the navigational elements, are near identical. Breath of the Wild, to this day, maintains an incredibly distinct and subtle tone and atmosphere through the exploration of its world, one that's melancholic but magical and engaging all the same. It is impressive just how well Sable emulates this ambience. Sable is a casual, immersive experience. Most of the time, you'll be wandering, often without a destination in mind. As such, it's imperative that the developers really nail the presentation. In a game like this, it's what really makes or breaks the experience. With this somewhat minimalistic approach, you need emotional substance and a rare style to keep you engaged. You need not fret, the visuals and sound are fantastic. In terms of audio design and music, I also have nothing but praise. From the sound of your footsteps to your hover bike, the dialogue of the characters to the very high-quality interface. The sound is impactful, memorable, and crisp. Two key components help create this desire to explore. The first is the game's level narrative consistency. As Sable herself is discovering the wider world for herself, so is the player. The same goes for her pursuit to find what kind of mask she wants to wear for the rest of her life. Sable doesn't know what possibilities are out there, just like the player doesn't. This helps Sable put a value on the experience of exploring and just learning the world, as it is also the primary motivation of Sable herself. The second way that Sable accomplishes this is through the design of its world. It is hard to look at the deserts of Sable and not find it absolutely beautiful. The unique graphical styling of the world is a lot of the heavy lifting in its own right, but there's a lot more subtle proficiency in the world design as well. This subtlety is shown in how organically the player can notice landmarks while traveling around the deserts and how well constructed those landmarks are. The only weakness comes at night in certain interiors, the game's palette flattening to pure line art. Some locations also struggle with their particular shader implementation, with distant mountains somehow turning semi-transparent in the evenings. It's a reminder that Sable is a game made by less than a handful of people, a reality further reinforced by occasionally misplaced props, audio bugs, and some stuttering while driving. But the reality is easy to forget when you're riding your bike against bold sunsets or climbing some towering ruin sketched with an illustrator's flair. It also means that, while Shedworks has built a fairly vast open world, Sable is working at a limited scale, one that feels refreshingly manageable compared to the bloated open worlds of larger games. Every region is just the right size, packing a welcome handful of strange and unique landmarks to discover, while acutely aware of the importance of letting much of the land remain empty. The only problem with the aesthetics in Sable comes in the form of graphical bugs and issues. They do not mar the experience too much, but it does look goofy when Sable gets on top of the spiral to look out at the horizon only to have her cape clip through her face and get stuck. Similar bugs can also pop up here and there with the wings of Sable's hoverbike clipping into the ground. More frustrating bugs are also present here and there, like the hoverbike getting bugged and never returning to the player. However, the bugs do very little to detract from the beauty of Sable. Playing Sable very well may be as close as one can get to a meditative experience while playing a game. Few games feel as good to simply exist within a Sable. The game's gorgeous visuals, warm and comforting music, and intuitive game design all come together to create a unique experience about trying to find one's place in the world through an expression of an individual's freedom. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. Bye everyone, and see you soon.